All right, back at the Young Turks at the DNC, and all of a sudden, Senator Nina Turner. All right, we love it. All right, Nina, first, excellent outfit. Let's just keep it real.
Thank you, Cenk.
I love it. I love the flair. So all of a sudden, Tim Walz, kind of an economic populist plan, right? What's going on here? Do we kind of love this?
We do. I feel like we're in a multiverse a little bit.
Yeah, right? All of a sudden we skipped multiverse.
Yeah, we did skip multiverses. I mean, I think it is a good pick. I think you were on the same page, but my other person was Governor Bashir, Andy Bashir, in Kentucky. I thought was a good choice. I know you had some other choices too, but
we had a lot of good choices.
To have Governor Walz is a beautiful thing. And he has proven through his work as an executive how to make populism work in the great state of Minnesota.
Yeah, so Nina, we had Adam Green on the show from PCCC, and he says now the Democrats are listening to the polling we're giving them on progressive proposals being really popular.
Yeah.
Okay, right, and then we have Representative Jamie Raskin on talking about now we're in a fighting spirit. I mean, no one likes fighting more than me.
I know, that's right.
Right, yes. And he said, look, this is beginning to be a new Democratic Party where we are actually trying to do these bills and be economic populists in a sense. Is there something, are they actually changing? Like, because what a lot of people wonder and what I wonder is this real or is this politics?
Memorex, I don't know. Just dated myself by saying, is this real or Memorex? You got Gen Zs talking about what the hell is Memorex? Google it. I don't know, Cenk. I am holding out hope, as I know that you are, and I think a lot on the progressive side of the Democratic ledger are holding out hope. They want the Harris-Walz ticket to be that ticket that is finally going to do something materially to lift poor and working class people in this country. I say we have to just give them a chance to see if they will, in fact, do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I'm curious about the reaction to you in particular, because, for me, for example, sometimes I get sly looks like kind of skeptical, right? But there's also been, more inclusive and a little bit more accepting. So I got a little bit of a mixed reaction, but I've been so hard against Biden, right? So that's a little bit.
I have too.
Yeah, and that's true.
Both that.
Yeah,
we weren't hard against some person. We're saying do something with the power you have. Increase the federal minimum wage. Don't blame it on the parliamentarian.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Why stop the rail workers from striking when you can stare down them bosses at first and say you give them some paid sick time? So it's things like that. Why let the Senator Manchin from West Virginia and Sinema from Arizona have all the fun and block everything that you're doing? Put the stick on them. Yeah. We were just trying to lift. When you have power, you got to use it. And that's something Republicans know how to do.
And that's the big TBD here, right? If they win, are they actually going to use that power? Are they going to actually? But what I'm curious about, because it might be a harbinger of things to come, is how are you received here? Because if they're still looking at you askance and looking at you skeptical, then I'm a little worried, right? Are they being a little bit more inclusive or no?
When you say they, I don't.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there's a giant range of people. Right.
I will say that something happened today in Ohio delegation breakfast that's really blew my mind. My opponent, the current congresswoman from the Ohio 11th district, was giving a speech this morning at breakfast. And before she ended her speech, she said something to the effect that, I want to recognize somebody who's a fierce competitor, Senator Nina Turner. The room stopped. That happened this morning. So if that's an example, the room literally stopped. You can hear a pin drop. And we were side by side on the stage, holding up the hands. And it was a moment. I'm still trying to take it in because what happened in that race, Cenk. You were by my side for both races. People tried to politically kill me just for standing up for what is right. So if that's just one example, and it happened really spontaneously, and it meant something to a lot of people, especially the people from Cleveland.
Okay, first of all, asked and answered, because that is exactly what I was asking.
Yeah.
And so that is a giant change. And I wonder if it was spontaneous or if the memo has gone out welcome people back into the fold.
Yeah.
Stop fighting progressives.
Right, stop fighting us. Why do that? We can disagree on issues, but you don't have, I mean, look at the number of Republicans who have spoken here, which I don't care one way or the other. It's not gonna move anybody in this arena. And I might move the needle on independence, but neoliberal type Democrats have more love for Republicans than they do for progressives. And it makes no sense because we are on the right side. We are on the side of the people. I'm not saying we're perfect, but poll after poll, Cenk, poll after poll lines up with the progressive agenda.
Yeah.
It's the American people's agenda. That's what we should call it.
Yeah, Nina, I'm starting to wonder, I mean, is this Kamala Harris? Is it because somebody's making decisions? And obviously she's at the top, she gets the credit no matter what, because you're the executive, right?
That's right.
Right. So, but who else, let's put it that way, who else is taking the party in this new direction? Because I almost can't believe it.
I know.
Right? Because your story is kind of a capper to it. As we see them, in the beginning, I was skeptical because I'm like, you're telling me you're gonna go in that direction, but I've seen this movie 100 times, right? But then you pick Tim Walz and I'm like, well, that's real, that's your VP, right? And then they put that out the proposals and I'm like, wait a minute, those are real, those are pretty good. I mean, obviously I've passed them, right? But the fact that they're welcoming to you is a sign, it's a symbol, right? And so I wouldn't even know how to react if the Democratic Party wasn't fighting progressives, right?
I think they're still gonna fight us. We will see if this will last past the convention. That will be the true test. I am disappointed, however, in those out in the atmosphere telling voters don't ask questions, don't ask for anything. Like there's this, don't, just let them win. No, this is a transaction. Voters should get something for their vote, which is a social contract. And voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat. This is a job interview, Cenk. I want our viewers to understand this is a job interview. It's not a victory lap.
Yeah.
So that would be just like you interviewing me, and I'm gonna tell you what for as the manager, and I'm trying to get the job. Some of these gatekeepers want to tell everyday people that they don't have a right to ask a question. If they ask a question, they're empowering Trump. Nothing can be further from the truth. And also something that is just boiling my blood is those who are really particularly asking the Black community not to ask for a Black agenda. Now I want our movement to understand this. I'm inviting you into the barbecue. You have some Black leaders telling the Black community not to ask for anything. Let her win. No, the time to ask for stuff is before.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Before I marry you, I need to know how I'm gonna be treated. Not after.
Yeah.
So voters of all stripes, though, have a right to ask questions, to see policy, Cenk, and that is in no way trying to empower Trump. And you remember, we were calling for primaries. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they called us to spawn we were on Trump's payroll.
Yeah. What
Fast
happened
forward, they get to push the current president totally out of because they telling a different story now, but they push that man out.
Yeah.
Let me be respectful. They push President Biden out.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, look, I helped them push. So but when you did it, but when you talked about it in the context of a perfectly normal primary, right? Look, I know almost everybody knows, but of course, Tina Turner was one of the chairs of Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2016 and 2020. So Bernie Sanders and Biden are in a big heated primary. You guys are fighting them in a very normal way within the primary. In fact, I would say, and I did say, like too muted, like I would have attacked more, right?
No, you would tell me that. What are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, keep attacking, right? More.
Yeah.
And so you guys run a very respectful campaign, in my opinion, and they fall on you like a ton of bricks, right? So, and then Nancy Pelosi pushes Biden out.
Right, it's totally fine.
It's totally fine.
I didn't try to push a man out of office. I just said when I asked the choice between him and Trump, and I was really referring to policy, I used some colorful language. That language was police. It was used against me, as you know, when I ran. I'm not the right kind of Democrat. I'm not loyal. I'm not gonna do right by Biden and all that. I mean, I'm supposed to serve the people I'm running to serve, not who's the president of the United States of America. But you fast forward to 2024, and the owner donors get a little antsy after the first debate, saying we're gonna hold back President Biden's money. He ain't getting no more money unless he gets out the race. And then all of a sudden, Speaker Pelosi and all kinds of Congress members, they get a little courage because the donor said he had to go. and they're not critiqued at all.
Yeah, that's good.
Why?
Yeah. All right, I do want to ask you, because you said, hey, listen, black voters should ask
for something.
So what should they ask?
We definitely need reparations. I know that is something that has been pushed for many generations. We should continue to push for that, both cash payments and programmatic things from the government. Universal health care is a Black issue. It's an issue for everybody, every human. Paid family medical leave, dealing with the maternal death rates of Black mothers, investments in education. It really is the things that most Americans need. But to me, the liberation of the working class writ large is tied to Black liberation. The March on Washington in the 60s, people leave out jobs. It was civil rights, but it was silver rights too. It was jobs. And so if we look at all the great social, political, economic movements in this country, most of the ones that turn the tide towards justice have been rooted in Black liberation.
Yep. And in that era, they also asked for a budget that would set them free.
That's it, right? The freedom budget for all Americans. Asa Philip Randolph, I'm glad you brought that up. Asa Philip Randolph, Bayard Rustin, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and a whole host of people that I'm leaving out. But Asa Philip Randolph had a vision. He was drawing upon FDR's 4 freedoms. And the freedom he targeted was the freedom from want. And he understood that Black people were suffering disproportionately. But in order to get a liberation agenda, you got to say freedom budget for all Americans. And you know what was number 1 on that list, Cenk? You know, abolish poverty. How about that?
So, and by the way, that there's a reason why it was called the freedom budget, and there's a reason why I framed it as getting to setting people free, right? Because in order to be free, you've got to have the economic power.
That's it.
To be able to execute that freedom, to be able to do things in the world and not be constrained into the situation. Honestly, all of us find ourselves in now.
50% of Americans are saying they live paycheck to paycheck. FDR said necessitous men are not free. Now I'm saying it the way he said it. Please, gender folks, don't. He's saying necessitous, if you are always in need, you're not free. Like FDR fully understood that. And that's why the second economic Bill of Rights, what we call the 21st century economic Bill of Rights, is so important. We need to push for those things, Cenk, and hopefully this team will do just that. But we got to push them. We can't sit back. Don't fall in love with these folks. Make a demand.
Yeah, you vote for them.
Vote for them, but make a demand.
And then say, remember what you promised, and this is what we want.
And if they don't do it, Cenk, what should we do?
But put pressure on them, hold them accountable. And hey, look, they have it on the placards. When we fight, we win.
Hey, that's what they said.
And you know what? I'm gonna keep some of these placards.
Yes, because we're gonna have to use it.
That's right.
We're gonna have to use it.
That's right.
But change happens not because people usually at the top get some big epiphany. We need to remind our viewers that the kind of deep-seated material change that we're talking about happens when everyday ordinary people feel a little extra on their ordinary.
Yep. And the last thing is, look, I love the way you're framing it, because even though, yes, African Americans are disproportionately affected on the issues of poverty and socioeconomic conditions, et cetera. But when African Americans push on behalf of the whole country, right? And say, this is not just for us, this is for everybody.
This is
and the second thing is, you know, that I love about that is it flips the white savior theme, right?
That's right.
That archetype. Now, African Americans are saying, let us set the country free.
Cenk, you better talk about that. Let us set the country free. You heard it first here on TYT, baby.
All right. Senator Nina Turner, apparently back in good graces. So, okay.
Hey, we will see.
We'll see.
Don't get too excited. We will see.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.